Hi, this is Willie Nelson for NORML. For 30 years, NORML has provided a voice for the millions of Americans who smoke marijuana responsibly. More than 500,000 Americans are arrested each year for smoking pot. These are ordinary citizens like you and me, whose lives and careers are being needlessly destroyed. To learn how you can help, contact NORML at www.norml.org or call toll-free at 888-67-NORML.
And distributed by the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws in Washington, D.C. This is your daily audio stash, the growing truth about cannabis. Welcome to the most popular audio podcast regarding marijuana in all of America and all the world, featuring interviews with scientists, politicians, doctors, prohibition policy activists, regular cannabis consumers, musicians, and NORML staff and NORML's board of directors, along with music and comedy no other podcast can offer. You can always find out more about the show at our website, NORMLAudiostash.com. We're ending marijuana prohibition with education, one listener at a time. Welcome back to the Audio Stash. Today, I'm your host, Chris Goldstein. Take a moment to join us at NORML to end marijuana prohibition in America. Just visit NORML.org. First up today, we have news from NORML, and make sure to pick up our weekly NORML News audio podcast. We have links to it at norml.org/podcast. Our news today. Minorities overrepresented in pot arrests, study says. African Americans and Hispanics in New York City are far more likely to be arrested and receive a conviction for minor marijuana offenses than are white citizens, according to statistical data to be published in the journal Criminology and Public Policy. Investigators at New York City's National Development Research Institute, or NDRI, an independent think tank specializing in substance abuse issues, analyzed local marijuana arrest data from 1980 to 2006. Authors reported that 85% of the defendants arrested in New York City for the crime of possessing marijuana in the fifth degree, e.g., smoking pot in public, were either African American or Hispanic. African Americans and Hispanics together comprise approximately half of the city's population. Investigators also reported that African Americans were 2.66 times as likely as whites to be detained before arraignment, while Hispanics were nearly twice as likely. In addition, both groups were twice as likely as whites to be convicted on pot charges. Compared to Caucasians, African Americans were 4 times as likely, and Hispanics were 3 times as likely to receive additional jail time. Quote, "In light of the disparities, we recommend that the NYPD consider scaling back on the enforcement of smoking marijuana in public view, and that legislators consider making smoking marijuana in public a violation and not a misdemeanor," close quote, authors concluded. Although minor marijuana possession offenses are punishable by a civil citation under state law, the possession or use of cannabis in a public place is classified as a criminal misdemeanor. Citywide arrests for public smoking rose from less than 1,000 in 1990 to more than 51,000 in the year 2000. In 2006, New York City police arrested approximately 32,000 citizens for the use of cannabis in public, 87% of whom were either African American or Hispanic. A previous analysis of marijuana arrest data by the NORML Foundation reported nationwide racial disparities in marijuana law enforcement, finding that although fewer than 12% of all self-reported pot smokers were African American, they comprised 23% of all marijuana possession arrests. For more information, please contact Alan St. Pierre, NORML's Executive Director, at area code 202-483-5500. The study's lead author, Andrew Golub of the National Development Research Institute, will discuss his findings next week on NORML's Daily Audio Stash podcast. Make sure to pick up our weekly NORML News audio podcast. You can link to the XML up at norml.org/podcast.
Who got the marijuana? Who got the pot? Who got the marijuana? That's what I want. Who got the marijuana? Who got the pot? Who got the marijuana? Give it up. Give it up.
That was a guy called Jet Baker, some very cool comedy music. He'll be playing at the Doobie Awards next week. Next up today, here on NORML's Daily Audio Stash, Steve Bloom is not only keeping us up to date with the famous stoners of the world at celebstoner.com, but he's also the producer of two major annual events with High Times magazine. The first is the Stony Awards for movies and TV in New York City, and then there are the Doobie Music Awards, which are taking place next week in Austin, Texas. We have links to it for more info on the Doobies at normalaudiostash.com. And they have a lot of info about the event at the jam-packed High Times website as well. Steve, thanks for staying with us today. Tell us what's going to be happening next week at the Doobie Awards in Austin.
Well, on March 16th, we're going to have our annual High Times party at South by Southwest, which is the big music festival that happens in Austin, Texas every year in March. It's kind of like a spring break for the music industry, and thousands of people from the music industry and bands descend on Austin and, try and turn people on to music, new music primarily, and, get signed by record labels. So it's a huge event, and it's gotten bigger and bigger over the years. It's over 20 years old now, and High Times has been attending this event since 1994, and we've been having a party there every year since 1996, so it'll be our 12th year. And the daytime parties are a lot of fun. There's nighttime showcases that are official, and the daytime parties are companies like High Times and other companies that want to promote themselves, put together a lineup of bands and give away some food and drinks and bring people in and have a good time. And so we've been part of that over the years. And this year we decided to add to our party the High Times Doobie Awards, which is an event that we've been doing since 2000, which is a music awards presentation. And we've been doing that in New York, but we decided to move it to Austin this year to coincide with South by Southwest. We thought it'd be a good place to have it. So that's what our big plans are now for March 16th.
Also, Steve, you mentioned that there's an invitation out to Willie Nelson to attend the event, and he is usually in the Austin area for the South by Southwest events.
Well, Willie's, based in Austin, or a little bit outside of Austin, and, famous, he's not a Texan, but he's a Texan, but he's, he spent a lot of years in Nashville and then moved back to Texas over the years, and Willie will be performing in the vicinity on the date of our show, and we've invited him to come and accept a High Times Doobie Achievement Award for many years of doobie smoking, I guess, in his case, and, of course, great music, and also his representation, in the marijuana world. In trying to legalize it. So we're hoping Willie will attend. Like a lot of award shows, especially with famous people, it takes a lot of work to get people there, no matter how friendly they might be to the cause. It has a lot to do with schedules and timing and fortuitous, things, events in life that, make things happen. So we're just hoping that Willie will be there. We've extended the invitation. We know he'll be in town that day, and we're hoping he'll come by and pick up his Doobie trophy.
Right on, Steve. Now, who are some of the Doobie winners last year?
Last year's winners, the band of the year was System of a Down. Reggae artist was Damian Marley. Hip-hop artist was the Yin Yang Twins. the best solo artist was Rob Thomas. A lot of people have appeared in High Times and showed support for the cause in the last year, kind of is how the Doobies work. Have a good year musically, and also you've advocated somewhat for marijuana, and so we'll do the same thing this year. I don't want to tip my hand on who's going to be the winners except for Willie, although, there will be, some of the nominees include Government Mule, Method Man, Sizzler, and bands like Mastodon, sort of an up-and-coming hard rock band. So this, some of those are the bands that we're considering.
All right, now let's talk about some of the bands now who will be performing at the High Times party this year. The first is Joseph Israel. We've aired some of Joe's tracks here on the Audio Stash, and Joseph has been very involved with the Fayetteville, Arkansas chapter of NORML, and now he's moving up with a pretty big record deal.
Oh, yeah, he has a record coming out on Universal. Joseph's kind of a newcomer. He's following, I think, in the steps of Matisyahu a little bit in terms of being a white reggae performer. He's very irie. He's got long red dreads, and he's spent a lot of time in Jamaica over the years and recorded his album down there. We've been sort of tipped off to him via High Times. They've been promoting his new record, which is coming out in a few weeks, pretty heavily through High Times. So Universal Records asked if, Joseph could play on the High Times bill, and he was one of the first that we, put on the bill, and he's going to be pretty much the headliner, and we're going to have a big reggae theme to the show because we also booked a performer named Rocky Duwani, who is a Ghana performer who does like a reggae Afrobeat style. So Rocky's going to perform before Joseph. They know each other. They've actually performed together, and part of Rocky's show is going to include Leon Mobley, the percussionist with Ben Harper's band, and they're going to do a version of Burn One Down, and I think Joseph's going to join them. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of reggae at the show. Reggae's always, is always good, and you don't hear a lot of reggae down in Austin, so it'll be a nice change of pace from the rock and blues that you hear down there. But bands, the lineup is right now we have 5 bands on the lineup, and we're sort of waiting to add one more. We have sort of a special guest that we're sort of still waiting on, and somebody who's appeared in High Times quite a few times, and we're just waiting. But otherwise, that last spot is a coveted spot. We've got a lot of bands asking to be on the bill. We've been doing this show for so many years, and it's such a popular event that we get calls going back into November from bands and band managers asking, can we play the High Times party? And there's so many bands that want to be on the bill, we should probably make it a 2-day event that's just not long enough. We go 6 hours, we have a band every hour, and during the breaks we'll give out the Doobie Awards. It'll be chock full of music and all kinds of fun all day long.
Right on. Let's play a track from Joseph Israel right now. We spoke to him last night, and he gave us permission to play this track here on the Audio Stash today from his new album. Here's the title track, Gone Are the Days. We have links to Joseph at NORMLAudioStash.com.
So many paths, only one road to choose. If you live for yourself, you know you will lose. In your heart, let true love rule. We are made with godly attributes. Things gonna be right when it's right there we choose. Yes, we gotta live up now. Yes, we gotta live up now. Yeah, 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 yeah. Gone are the days that I used to slumber. Gone are the days that I used to wonder. These are the days the prophets look for. Gone are the days I am awake like a storm rising. Where do we begin? Some have a lot, and most have nothing. Out of the mouths of the babes and suckling. Ask on the question, brutality. The system not providing for none of release, but they go on in a luxury. But them living unjustly, causing no bloodshed. Another youth is dead. The judgment from Babylon can't be dread. We giving thanks for our daily bread. Yes, my eyes stay red. Hey. Gone are the days that I used to slumber. Gone are the days that I used to wonder. These are the days Revelation spoke for. Gone are the days I am awake. The world leaders, them are working in vain. They made the millions off the slave trade. Now they flooded the ghettos with guns and cocaine. Them go down the drain, lift up your voice. Lift up your heart, lift up your spirit. We're to the eternal ever living, the one who gives it. Cause he's the ancient of days, it's him that we praise. He the only one can bust all the chains. Live up now, hey, we gotta live up now, yeah, yeah, hey. Gone are the days that I used to stumble. Gone are the days that I used to wonder. These are the days the prophets look for. Yeah, yeah, gone are the days Israelites, they are awake, yeah. Famines and pestilence and war upon the land. Said I know your kingdom is at hand. Earthquake, where you gonna stand? Your house built upon sinking sand. When your enemy happens to be your friend, the lover grown cold in the land. Work hard, give a helping hand. The race might be hard, but it must be ran. Yeah, gone are the days that I used to slumber. Gone are the days that I used to wonder. These are the days Revelation spoke for. Yeah, yeah, gone are those days. Babylon will fade away. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I am awake, children of Abraham. Oh, I and I rise with the anciency and the traditional righteousness. Gone are those days. Gone are the days that I used to stumble. Gone are the days that I used to wonder. These are the days the prophets look for. Israelites are awake. Gone are the days, gone are the days. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was Joseph Israel with the title track, Gone Are the Days, from his new album here on NORML's Daily Audio Stash today. That album's hitting the streets, I guess, just this month, and Joseph will be performing at the High Times Doobie Music Awards party that's taking place at the South by Southwest Music Festival next week. Steve, you gathered this great variety of artists together, and I was listening to some of the bands there this week. There's White Ghost Shivers, who have this really progressive folk sound, then Flaming Fire, which sounds like something you'd come across on the international cable networks coming down from LSD at 4 in the morning. And there's even some comedy in there, too. There's really a great variety in there.
Well, you sort of pretty much nailed it on Flaming Fire. They're kind of an unusual band out of New York, and they actually feature High Times managing editor Natasha Lewin, who's making her sort of debut as a singer in this band. And I saw them a few weeks ago here in New York, and they're pretty interesting. They're kind of like a psychedelic experimental band, not really heavily song oriented, but interesting, and it'll be a lot of fun. And the White Ghost Shivers, they're typical of a certain style that's kind of a retro western swing style that you hear down in Austin. There's a band called the Asylum Street Spankers that are famous for that style, and White Ghost Shivers are coming along in a similar way. And their manager also was somebody who worked for South by Southwest last year, and she had contacted me right after South by Southwest, and she said she's leaving the organization. She's going to go full-time managing White Ghost Shivers, and she'd love the band to play the High Times party, next year. And, well, she kept in touch with me, and she became my liaison down in Austin this year to sort of hook up the venue, because there's, quite a competition for venues down there, venue space for these parties, and she's been really helpful. So we put the White Ghost Shivers on the bill. Another local band, Jalapeno, is a hard rock band down there that I'm very high on. They feature a singer named Dave Derrick, who was in a metal band down there called Pariah that's sort of famous in its sort of Skid Row style from the mid-'90s. And Pariah had a tragedy. They lost one of their guitar players died, and the band sort of never really continued. And Dave has sort of floated around the Austin scene for years as a performer, and he reemerged a couple of years ago in this band Jalapeno, which is not a metal band, it's just a good hard rocking band. And so Dave is going to make his first appearance performing at a High Times party. I'm very excited about that. I'm good friends with Dave. And so those are our 5 bands, and yet we have a couple of other singers who are going to do like 5-minute acoustic songs. Carolyn Wonderland is one of the singers. A group called Deep Clover. They have a song called the Pot Song. Jet Baker, who has a song called the Coffee Shop Crawl, which is a song based on his many visits to Amsterdam during the Cannabis Cup. So it's going to be just full of music all day long, plus lots of other sort of fun video presentations, the doobie presentations. It's going to be nonstop. It's going to be hard to pack it all into 6 hours. It'll be, before you know, it'll be over, but it's going to be a blast, as we lead up to it and just have a great full day in Austin.
Here's another band that will be there next week. These guys are called the White Ghost Shivers.
for the market, girl. Bring me some money too.
Oh yeah, Kurt. You got me working night and day. You got me working for my pay, yeah. Like those other girls do. Well, get out of here, bring me back some money too.
That was the White Ghost Shivers here on NORML's Daily Audio Stash today. We have links to them up on our website. They'll be playing live at the High Times Doobie Awards next week, March 16th. And we have links to all the bands we're playing here today at NORMLAudioStash.com. We're with Steve Bloom, the producer of the High Times Doobie Awards. So, Steve, how do you get selected for this party? How do you choose the music here?
Well, it's fun because, now, of course, in the past, bands would, submit, music via, CDs generally, and, now that, MySpace is, so popular, this is actually the first year that I didn't really accept any CD submissions. Just everybody has a MySpace page, and they just send me to their page, and I listen to the 4 songs, and, if I like the band, that's the number one. I mean, I am, the arbiter of making these decisions. It is sort of, I'm the producer of this show, so it does fall on me to make these decisions, and, so, occasionally there's a band that I'm not crazy about, and so I sort of X them off. But for the most part, most bands are pretty good. It's just a matter of, fitting in, to the show and trying to, create a good mix and a good balance. We like to include, local bands. The show is for the South by Southwest attendee who is a badge holder, and so you come to the show with your badge and you enter free and you don't have to pay. And most events in South by Southwest, you don't have to pay. You have to have a badge or a wrist band. But because, the local crowd down there is so friendly and supportive of High Times, we open the door to them as well, and we ask them to pay $10 to get into the show. So we like to appeal to the local crowd, and we always have several local bands. So this year our local bands are White Ghost Shivers and Jalapeno, and then we just like to mix it up. This year we're leaning a little bit more towards a reggae style, just because of Joseph Israel. And then when I had the offer of Rocky Duani, I listened to his music, and I like that mixture of reggae and Afrobeat from West Africa. I'm kind of a fan. That's, some of it is my personal taste. I like hip-hop, and there's not a lot of hip-hop at the event, and, we like to add that onto the bill. We've had Devin the Dude perform, and, we've had a lot of great bands over the years here. We've had Sublime play, and Hank Williams III, Jay Mascis, Robert Walter. We've had really some excellent, top-line bands. But, we've sort of reached a point where we've decided that we're really, in the past we've actually paid headliners, and we've decided not to do that anymore because it's expensive, and bands will play for free. They do because it's a promotional opportunity down in Texas. And what happens is a lot of the bands get down there, and, they get one showcase to appear to play officially at South by Southwest, and it could be a 12 o'clock show at some out-of-the-way place, and that's it. And, there's so much going on. There's thousands of bands performing down there all over town for 4 days, and, bands want to make the most of it while they're there, so they want to gang up as many, shows as they can, and a lot of bands, they'll play as many as 6-7 shows while they're down there, so they're not really looking for the money. They're really looking for promotional opportunity to get their music out there and get to be heard. So the more times bands play, the more opportunities they're going to have for people who are wandering around from show to show and party to party, to get heard. So, we're just looking around for bands, like that. And, in the case of Joseph Israel, that was something that came through High Times, via our advertising department, and the request that came in from Universal. But, and that's something we really, couldn't turn down. Plus, we love Joe. He's a really good performer, and we want to introduce him to, our audience. So it's just a mixture. We're just looking for a good mix of rock, reggae, blues, male, female, black, white, just to sort of have a really good, diverse high time show. That's sort of my idea of shows, is that like make it really diverse and show that the marijuana smoker is everybody out there. It's not just one person or one shade of color or one genre of music. It's everybody out there, and so we try to reflect that on our show every year.
Steve, this has just been great. Thanks for staying with us today to highlight the Doobie Awards.
It's going to be a blast. Next Friday. It's only a week away.
We have links for more information about the Doobie Awards at the South by Southwest Music Festival next week on our website today at normalaudiostash.com. Make sure to check out all the links to the bands that we played today. We'll have more Doobie Awards music next week here on the Audio Stash. Because we focused on the Doobie Awards today, make sure you tune in Monday. We'll have our celebstoner.com update in the stash then.
76% of Americans no longer support arresting and jailing marijuana smokers, and nearly as many support the medical patients having access to medical marijuana. And over 80% of our citizens now believe the war on drugs is an ineffective failure. So the question is, when will the government's misguided war on adult marijuana smokers finally end? When? Simple. When you and your like-minded friends, family, and coworkers get involved with an organization such as the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, also known as NORML. My name is Keith Stropp, and I founded the organization in 1970. Contact us at NORML, toll-free, 888-67-NORML, or by visiting the organization's up-to-date webpage at www.norml.org.
Listening to NORML's Daily Audio Stash, the growing truth about cannabis. Make sure you visit our website at normalaudiostash.com. That's NORMLAUDIOSTASH.com for more information about every day's show. I'm your host, Chris Goldstein. Thanks for listening today. See you at 4:20 tomorrow. Podcasting technology of NORML is made possible by Red Aphid Interactive Media. More information at redapphid.com.